How are you guys? In this video of the series about my book, Philosophical Cocaine, A Radical Approach to Self-Liberation, I'll be commenting the third chapter, which is called Hell is Other People. I took that phrase from 20th century philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre, which is usually considered the godfather of modern existentialism. To clarify what that phrase means in this chapter, I start by making a distinction between what I call the positive aspect of social conditioning and the negative aspect of social conditioning. So, let's start first by explaining what positive social conditioning means, right? As I explained in the previous video, this video I put over here, since you arrive to reality naked and without map of the external world, other people introduce you into pretty much language, the use of tools, and explain you the division of labor. In other words, other people taught you how to use the instruments like the toothbrush, the door, the window, everything around you, and also taught you how the society is divided into different roles of people that use different tools. For example, the social role carpenter uses the hammer and nails. The doctor will use another instruments. If you think about it, that influence from the outside of your mind is very basic and is only aim is your seamless integration into the instrumentality of society. So you can have a basic user manual on how to use the tools and do your basic daily tasks, right? This type of social conditioning makes that initial childish feeling of being lost and overwhelmed by the environment when you're a baby go away, and it also gives you a better chance to survive, right? Integration into the world. It's very simple, straightforward, and positive because it doesn't block your unique self, but actually unlock it. And that is what I call positive social conditioning, or essentially education. Okay, but on the other side, other people didn't just give you that. They also introduced you into their own interpretation of life and the world, interpretation that sooner or later ended up shaping the way you think of yourself and the meaning of life itself, right? I mentioned in the book a simple but common example of this. Imagine Catholic parents that take their child to church every Sunday for Mass, okay? And in their mind, they think, well, we're just educating our child, introducing him into our culture, our tradition, which is in fact true. That's what they're doing. Nevertheless, the child, by assisting to this form of social ritual, let's call it the church, very innocently is being introduced as well to concepts that have nothing to do with the use of tools or decoding the role plays or the structure of society in general, right? Actually, the concepts of God, sin, afterlife, or many others don't really reflect his direct experience of the external world, his natural experience, right? But all the contrary, these concepts are the ones that shape and frame his perception of the world. You know what I mean? In other words, this concept make him focus his interpretation of facts into a particular way of being. In this way, the child is forced into a world's vision or unconsciously fit into a mental mold that is not positive or reinforce his uniqueness, but in fact pushes his mind towards his anybody self. Well, that's what I call negative social conditioning. An influence by others that is not education or integration into the basic structures of instruments, but more like an indoctrination to directly or indirectly force him to be, act, and think in a particular way that is validated by the others. So, to sum it up, on one side you have positive social conditioning, all right, which is basic education and integration for your survival, okay? Reinforce your freedom and also your unique self. But on the other side, you have negative social conditioning, which is mental indoctrination that forces your mind to fit into a particular shape or mold. It does not reinforce your freedom or your unique self and pushes your mind towards living from the anybody self. Remember that I explained in the first video, okay, I leave it right here, that your mind is a constant tension between your unique self and your anybody self. Okay, so if there is a mental prison for your mind, in reality, it has to be the anybody self, which is a part of you that has been built from negative social conditioning and is always paying attention and giving importance to that kind of negative external influence, all right? So your anybody self, as it is the part of you that look for external validation, all right? It's constantly looking for that validation. Obviously, it's getting fed by the negative social conditioning that never stop feeding into your mind is indoctrinating activity. So the important question is this: how does negative social conditioning communicate with your mind to keep you trapped into your anybody self, that part of yourself? What is the hidden language this conditioning uses? Well, I thought about that for a long time, and I came to realize that negative social conditioning has its own method to under-communicate with that part of you that feeds from external approval. I call that method, that hidden method, the language of lack and false fulfillment. And this secret language has three clear messages that are being fed into your mind from every angle. And with every angle, I mean from your family, from your friends, from social media, from the market, from movies, music, etc. You name it. Okay, so what are those three hidden messages, right? That's a big question. First message: your past is insufficiency. Okay, your past is insufficiency. This essentially means that you have to feel that you are never enough. You are never complete, all right? And whatever you already accomplished in your past, all right, in your past experience, is not good enough. You need more, and you need it now. Never chill, never relax, never feel happy about what you've been through or what you have, all right? For example, the market tells you, okay, your phone's camera is not enough. You need to get a new model with a better camera, a better screen, etc. Or hey, your car is not fast enough. You need to get this other model, faster, cooler, and even bigger, whatever. So in this way, when your anybody self listen to this message, that part of you listen to this message, feels an inner lack and develop the compulsion to achieve a false sense of fulfillment, okay? In this case, by the products of the market, the phone, the car, whatever. Second message: your present is insatisfaction. This means that whatever you're experiencing right now, whatever you are right now, your surrounding, your immediate surroundings, and the people that is with you, etc., are the sources of insatisfaction, your insatisfaction. So this message tells your mind to focus your attention not in what is there actually, but what is not there, the absent. Your attention goes not to being, but into nothingness. Insatisfaction doesn't allow you to enjoy the present moment, but always look beyond it, because what is lacking in your current situation forces your mind to project yourself into an ideal satisfaction. So satisfaction is the carrot in front of your nose, the greener grass on the other side, that every step you take gets farther and farther, burying your mind into meaningless, unfree, socially conditioned existence. You get it? Okay, third message: your future is insecurity. This means that you cannot trust the process. You have to control the outcomes, okay? You need to worry about what is coming. Never trust, never let go, right? That's are the messages behind it. Obviously, this creates anxiety in your body that sooner than later transform into fear and negative assumptions about the future, of course. In this way, the language of lack and false fulfillment, by pushing you into your anybody self, makes you feel uncomfortable on your own skin, feeling that you are not enough, constantly unsatisfied with the present moment, and worried about the future, unable to trust the process, and constantly fearful about your survival. So the worst state you can be. In other words, the anybody self in you is essentially needy, okay? And always crave that external approval of the social order. Because for the anybody self, free and different is scary as fuck, basically. And on the other hand, being just an anybody fixed into a generic mold, a consumer, a user, a member, a follower, etc., playing safe is an option that for your needy self makes perfect sense with these three messages of the language of lack and false fulfillment coming from the negative social conditioning. You've been here all your life since you're a kid. So let's make it very short. What is the goal of negative social conditioning? To put it simple, introduce into your mind the virus of fear and scarcity. Fear of an imagined negative future by focusing your perception and awareness into what is lacking in every situation. So essentially, your anybody self has a fear-based mentality and a scarcity-based mentality. Okay, in the next video, I will explain you what are the concrete behaviors that your mind enact in your daily life to fall into the conformity of your anybody self, the concrete behaviors. And at the same time, makes you addicted to a way of being that blocks the emergence of your unique self. Or, to going back to the first video, the Tyler Durden that you have trapped inside you. If you like the content of this video, subscribe to the channel to keep learning more about self-liberation, social conditioning, and all the master keys to true, long-lasting self-improvement. I will leave a link in the description to download the first chapter of my book, for free of course. Just put your name and email and you will get the chapter straight to your email, okay? This is Alvaro Quevedo, philosopher, award-winning magician, and world traveler with over 20 years of experience living the infamous nomadic lifestyle. Until the next one.